First up, though, very sad news. You'll have heard many times on my show in the last year the representatives of Rights for Residents. They were a campaign group that has really just swelled in numbers, and it's a real shame that it has, because they are representing the families who are desperate to be able to get access to their loved ones in care homes, particularly elderly care homes. And they've been campaigning throughout for getting loved ones in, to get them more rights, not just seeing someone across it with a perspex screen, to be able to be a carer, a dedicated carer to their loved ones, particularly in the final weeks and months and years of their lives. Well, it was all started by Jenny Morrison and Diane Mayhew. They were trying to fight for the rights of Jenny's mother and Diane's mother-in-law, Jean, who was in a care home during lockdown. And very sad news announced by Rights for Residents yesterday that Jean has now very sadly died. Well, I'm very happy to welcome Diane Mayhew onto the show as co-founder of Rights for Residents. But such a shame, Diane, to speak to you under such sad circumstances. I'm so sorry for your and Jenny's loss.
Thank you, Julia. It's still very raw, as you can imagine, but I felt that it was really important to come on and talk about Jean, if I can, and the character that she was, and the inspiration behind Rights for Residents, because without her, Rights for Residents wouldn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. And I say, my heart breaks for you. And I know so many of my listeners who've heard from you and Jenny over the last year will really be wanting to send you their very, very best and their condolences. But say Jean was the reason why your amazing organisation has done so much to campaign and to help families to know their rights, to be able to go and be with their loved ones. It's such a crucial time. She was the reason why. Tell us a little bit about Jean, how old she was, and the circumstances that prompted you to start the organisation.
Yeah, of course, she was 88. She was such a feisty character.
I've seen a video, she was.
She really was, honestly. And, everybody who met her just had a soft spot for her. She seemed to have a presence and an aura that drew you to her. Even when she was in hospital, the nurses just fell in love with her. And yet she was a no messing sort of a lady. But at the very beginning of the pandemic, when we were all in lockdown, we went to see her, and we could only see her via a window. And bearing in mind that she was such a tough cookie and always happy, her nickname was Smiler. She broke down this particular day. She couldn't understand she had advanced dementia. She couldn't understand why we couldn't come in, and she just kept beckoning to us. And she broke down in floods of tears, and we had to sit and watch her. Yeah. And we had to phone into the carers to come and console her. And
so you couldn't touch her. You could see this very elderly, loved mother-in-law and mother. That's just horrific. And so many other people have gone through that, because just impossible to explain to someone with severe dementia why you're not there and why you're not able to hold and touch them and be with them.
Exactly. And this is quite funny, but we said to her, because we were so close to her and we were always in the care room, and we said, Boris he won't let us come in. And she said, I'll speak to him. Just tell him I'm your mother. That's to her. That's.
I wish she had. She might have talked some sense into
him. She would. Sadly, towards the end, she could hardly communicate at all, Julia.
But that's a very crucial point. The amount sometimes we were talking to ministers, or we talk to other people, or other people would respond to the things that we put out on social media when we've spoken to you or spoken about this issue. And there's people can see people through the glass. They can communicate on. Why don't we just send in a whole load of mobile phones or iPads so people can look on the images? Just simply having no idea what condition many people in care homes are like. And my elderly aunt had been in care homes, and she was able to communicate. I could stand outside the care home and chat to her on the phone through the glass. I was able to get a couple of visits last summer, but most of the people that she was in the same corridor as, unable. Just no way in the world that would have been meaningful or at all. No. And a lot of people just didn't understand. And it would appear a lot of the times that the care minister responsible for the policies and the advice and the guidelines given to these care homes hadn't got a clue either. Helen Whately.
No, but in the end, Julia, she did actually affect the guidance. And, if you look at the guidance now, it's quite clear that, you know, every resident is entitled to an essential caregiver to prevent this situation that we were in ever happening again. And, you know, our campaign has brought about a lot of change, but unfortunately, there's still a hard core of care providers that are just refusing point blank to acknowledge that and suggesting that, you know, people don't meet the criteria. There is no criteria. All residents are entitled to one. You know, there is no substitute for human touch. We are so fortunate that our care home was excellent and the carers were so close to Jean, you know, but they never once assumed that they were a replacement for us.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And again, a lot of people don't realise that, you know, there are very elderly people or very vulnerable people who are in care homes. It's not because they've been abandoned by their families who don't love them and can't be bothered to look after them. They're there for their own safety, for their health, where they can be looked after 24/7. But most family members go in, I mean, not just once a week. They go in every day.
No, we were always in there, Julia. And I think, you know, what people don't realise, it's often the fall that does it. The final fall, the decision is taken away from you then because that person needs 24-hour nursing care and you have no choice. But the guilt, honestly, it just never leaves you. We always swore that we would never put her in a care home, and I think a lot more people will be swearing that after this.
Yeah, and a lot of people have done that, haven't they? Well, look, you've done a magnificent job. I know my listeners will feel exactly the same way. I think that you guys campaigning not just for the rights for you and Jenny to see her mum, to see your mother-in-law Jean, but so many, I mean, hundreds of thousands of others who are in exactly the same boat, pushing for those rules to change, pushing for sensible decisions to be made as opposed to this blanket, just, you know, close the doors so any man and his dog can go in and out who's a carer without any testing for months or over a year. But someone who's been, you know, double jabbed and COVID tested 3 minutes ago and proven to be negative couldn't go in to see their loved one and hold their hand and hug them and touch them. All the important stuff that makes families and life worthwhile. I just salute you. My heart goes out to you. Will you send our very, very, very best to Jenny and all of your families? And I'm so sorry for your loss, but goodness me, you and Jean together, you have done some real good in this country. So thank you so much for that. That's Diane Mayhew, co-founder of Rights for Residents, and just one of the things we've really seen, I just think has been incredible in the last 60 months is ordinary people speaking out, and ordinary people who've become campaigners.